and welcome to the Wealthy LaLa Show with myself, Lori Larson. Oh, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. If you are actually listening to this on a Monday, we had an interesting one. It was eventful. Well, interesting in the fact that we had the boys, our two grandsons, overnight on Saturday night, and so we had them most of the day on Saturday, and then overnight on Saturday night, and into Sunday. And yeah, little cuties. It's a different experience to look at the world through. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but like through the eyes of a child. Yeah, like it can be very demanding. It can be very flexible. It can be very easy and fun. And yeah. So, anyways, I was on Facebook and, Elizabeth Gilbert, you guys, from her, she's the one who wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love that was made into then a movie. She's written a few other books since then too. And she wrote something on Facebook that I thought was really beautiful. And this was from yesterday. So you can actually find it if you want to actually read it yourself. So she says, "Dear ones, I am blessed that my life is filled with beautiful, loving, generous women who only want to be kind. If you asked almost every female friend of mine what her highest aspiration was, most of them would say that it's to achieve universal compassion, to be more forgiving, more accepting, more generous, to offer an open heart towards the world, to embody love itself. And yet, every single one of these women is capable of tearing herself down, abandoning herself, ruthlessly condemning herself, criticizing herself, suffocating her own spirit, denying her own needs, hurting her own body, and holding herself to an impossible level of perfection. They all want to practice universal human compassion, yet they all degrade themselves. But universal human compassion that does not include the self is not universal. If you exclude yourself from acts of loving kindness, what you are actually practicing is martyrdom. Martyrdom is not life affirming, it's a death cult, and you will be the first casualty. And then in brackets, she has, then nobody will thrive. If you think it's selfish to show yourself care and kindness, then consider this. Consider the possibility that God or nature or the universe, whatever term you're comfortable with, gave you stewardship over one soul, one being that is uniquely, that is unquestionably yours to take care of, your own. You were entrusted with this one body, this one heart, this one mind, this one life stream, because something in the universe thought you could take good care of it. Other beings will come and go throughout your life, and you might long to take care of them too. But this one, you yourself, is the constant. This one, you yourself, is the strange, precious phenomenon that you have unquestionably been bequeathed. And if you neglect it, demean it, or abuse it, then how is that honoring the sacred? The role of womankind has always been to protect and nourish the beautiful and the vulnerable. The great lie is that Western culture has perpetuated upon the world is that a woman herself, beautiful and vulnerable, is not worthy of her own protection and nourishment. Let's put an end to that lie. Take care of you. Include yourself in the love. Fold yourself into human compassion, and it will actually become universal at last. Onward, LG. LG because she goes by Liz. And so the meme or the logo or whatever you want to call it that she put with it was universal compassion that does not include the self is not universal. This actually, it actually makes me want to cry when I reread the part where she says, if you think it's selfish to show yourself care and kindness, then consider this. Consider the possibility that God or nature or the universe, whatever term you're comfortable with, gave you stewardship over one soul, one being that is unquestionably yours to take care of, your own. You were entrusted with this one body, this one heart, this one mind, this one life stream, because something in the universe thought you could take good care of it. Other beings will come and go throughout your life, and you might long to take care of them too, but this one you, yourself, is the constant. This one you, yourself, is the strange, precious phenomenon that you have unquestionably been bequeathed. And if you neglect it, demean it, or abuse it, then how is that honoring the sacred? Whew. There's just so much more I could add to this, and I'm not sure exactly where to go with it yet. um, I just know for myself that the more that I'm sitting with myself, the more I continue to meditate, the more that I really, like watch, observe my life and watch, observe myself and my reactions to things. So, the things that are heavy, the things that are light for me, and being willing to actually really see what is actually really light and heavy. Like and that includes my own thinking. That one book that I mentioned the other day, The Body Knows How to Heal, he calls it the felt sense. Like, what felt sense do you have in your body when you think of something? What's the felt sense that you have with it? How do you really feel? How are you really feeling about what is going on in your life right now? One of the things that I noticed, and this is a bit of a vulnerable share for me, is that when we had the grandsons this weekend, I actually realized, gosh, I'm just asking if it creates greater to share this truth. And I get that it does. I get that I'm aware that if I say this, people can be very easy to judge and put something into a box as though, once you say you like the color blue, you like the color blue forever. Or once if you've gone to Mexico and say hated it, then you hate it forever. That we put these things into a box, like when we have an experience a certain way, that's the only way it's ever going to be. And then we judge it and we conclude it. And it doesn't allow for the malleable, the flexible, the spontaneity, and the thing that life is. And there was probably nothing I wanted to be more in this lifetime, that in this particular lifetime anyways, was a mom, and then the honor of being a grandparent. And this weekend when we had the boys, Um, it wasn't something that I actually wanted to do. And it wasn't because I didn't want them. It's because there's this place in my life right now where I'm so being called to look after me that I actually don't want to do anything that, that isn't that, is really. And I'll explain myself like just briefly. Only, yeah, I adore and have been so incredibly grateful. And it's actually ridiculous to even be saying this. I'm so incredibly grateful to be a grandma, a LaLa. And without question, all of the littles that are in my life, the 3 beautiful ones that I have right now, are just an incredible blessing. And and I'm really getting this is actually has to do with the whole judgment of a mother slash nurture slash whatever, that if I actually put it out there that this weekend I actually didn't feel like watching my grandkids, and it wasn't because it wasn't against them. It was because I wanted to choose something for me. Um, I wanted to be that, what Liz talks about in her thing. I wanted to show myself the care and kindness. And I feel like there's a part of me that's actually wanting to reason and justify and explain that and defend that I'm not selfish because of that. And when I talked in a few shows recently about like the mother wound, there was where did I read that here? So this with the Bethany Webster, who did Healing the Mother Wound part 1 on YouTube, actually. Well, it's Healing the Mother Wound is what she talks about. So she's got this little blurb on there. What many people do not realize is that the core issue of the Center of Women's Empowerment is the mother wound. Difficulty and challenges between mothers and daughters are rampant and widespread, but not openly spoke about. The taboo about speaking about the pain of the mother wound is what keeps it in place and keeps it hidden, in shadow, festering, and out of view. And I would even go, like, for what I'm discovering for myself is just healing the female wound, where we've had these incredible expectations put on ourselves that if we were not to put someone else first, like our grandkids, our kids, other people, that, like, it's interesting because the words that come to my mind is like we would be condemned, that it's just despicable, that how could we be so self-centered to only want to look after ourselves? And as I'm going through this and questioning and listening to different audios and watching different videos and observing my own life and watching what's actually really heavy and what's light. Like, what are lies that I've told myself? What are truths that I've not honored? Um, that as I take more care of me, there's a beauty within myself that I just couldn't see before. And it's reminding me too when around Mother's Day, Dr. Joe Dispenza had released just a little blurb about Mother's Day or about mothers. And, he actually said in there that he really believes it's harder to be a woman than any particular race in this world. And I've been looking at that, and even with the difficulty of me saying, I actually didn't feel like watching the grandkids this weekend. And it wasn't that I didn't want to, it wasn't anything against them. It was like I was screaming with my being, my soul was screaming for me to take care of me. And it didn't have anything to do with anybody else. It wasn't against anyone else. Like, have you ever looked in your life and had something that you wanted so much for yourself and not let yourself have it or choose it, and the pain that actually creates? And so it was great this weekend for me to see that for myself. Like, I care so much about myself, and knowing that when I care about me and I take care of me, however that looks for me, that is honoring the very thing that God, nature, or the universe gave me stewardship over. This one soul, this one being that's unquestionably mine to take care of. I was entrusted with this one body, this one heart, this one mind, this one life stream, because something in the universe thought I could take care of it, take good care of it. Take care of you. If you're a woman who's listening, and if you're a man who's listening, take care of you too. Let's take care of our hearts. And I wonder what beauty that actually will exponentialize in this wonderful world that we live in. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. Big hugs to you. Thanks so much for listening. This is Lori Larson, the Wealthy LaLa, signing off for today.